organization meets in Washington, D.C. And despite the push for more electric vehicles on the road, why sales are dwindling. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening, I'm Donovan Varney. Welcome to Newswatch. With summer underway, temperatures in Athens 94 degrees. Newswatch forecaster Isabel Isco joins us with more. Isabel, when can we expect a cool down?
This cool down is going to be coming pretty soon. You know, it's pretty hot out there. I'm breaking a sweat. Currently in Athens, we're still at that 93-degree mark. It's been a hot one out there. Through most of southeast Ohio, they are in those mid 80s, Newark 88, Columbus 86. There are a little bit of chillier temperatures out there. And as we head more south, we are still currently in those 90s. Going into some of those warnings for West Virginia, they're having that heat advisory for most of that Ohio-West Virginia border and into Pennsylvania. And then as we look into Cincinnati area, they are under a tornado watch from that Beryl hurricane. Currently that radar, we are going to be missing most of that rain, and it's going to be giving us just a little bit of rain here and there, but most of that intense rain and some of those thunderstorm and tornado risks are on that edge of the state. As we look into tonight, that 72-degree low with that 50% chance of thunderstorms. And in that 3-day outlook, you can see that we're going to have those temperatures cool off significantly in these next couple days. And then once we hit Friday, we'll be in those 90s once again. It's definitely feeling like summertime here in Southeast Ohio.
Thanks, Isabel. The Ohio State Highway Patrol has announced 16 fatalities occurred during the 4th of July weekend, up from 12 reported last year. A lack of safety belt usage was responsible for 7 of the 16 fatalities this year. OHP also made 438 arrests for impaired driving during the period. In an effort to combat youth vaping, a new campaign is being launched to stop the sale of illegal vaping devices. Attorney General Dave Yost launched the campaign and says only 27 vape products authorized by the FDA can legally be sold in Ohio. Orville Tobacco and Vape Shop in Wayne County, Central Tobacco in Delaware, and Elevate Smoke Shop in Cincinnati are facing charges for selling illegal vapes. Elevate was less than half a mile from a high school. Over 2 million students nationwide reported using vapes, including 9% of Ohio middle school students and 20% of high school students. A federal court today sentenced a Washington County man to 25 years in prison for sexually abusing minors. James Cibolic was convicted of sexually exploiting a minor in his hunting cabin in Lower Salem. He was also convicted of 1 count of possessing child pornography. Several online transactions between Cibolic and a Filipino woman reveal he was sending her money for basic living expenses in exchange for child sexual abuse material. He was caught trying to hide a minor in his back seat during a traffic stop made by Marietta police officers in July of 2021. The American Red Cross Society in Central and Southern Ohio is facing a critical need for blood and platelet donors. While all blood types are in demand, those with type O and platelet donors are especially needed. Some locations you can head to in the coming days include the Albany Baptist Church, the Athens County Chapter House, and O'Bleness Hospital. For a list of locations, dates, and times, you can visit the link on your screen, call 1-800-RED-CROSS, or download the Red Cross Blood Donor app. With summer weather in full swing, it's a great time to get outside. Newswatch reporter Betty Kankamboidu has more on a group enjoying the weather in a unique way. Betty?
Yes, Donovan, in an effort to get outside, yoga lovers took a 1-hour break from their busy day to relax. That's what Yoga Under the Elms is all about. Let's take a look.
Stretch your arms forward and rest your head.
From child poses, downward facing dog to standing half forward bend, yoga lovers worked to harmonize their minds and bodies during Yoga Under the Elms on College Green. Anne Mulligan is one of those people. The 76-year-old has been doing yoga for 20 years, but never outside.
It was hot and there were a couple of ants, but otherwise it was a lot of fun.
The first of its kind, the event is an initiative of WellWorks, Ohio University's wellness program. For the next 6 weeks, members of the community will meet and practice yoga in line with WellWorks' vision to, quote, create a wellness community that shares their journey by building connections. Today, the focus was on getting people to release built-up tensions in their bodies.
So I always want to connect people to their breath first. And after that, it just kind of built up a series of poses that were moving the body in all different ways, things that will get, movement into the spine, the hips, the shoulders.
Chow Yang Lee says the best part is the group connection.
I like the fact that we are doing this together as a group. There is a lot of positive energy, and you get an opportunity to pause for a moment in the middle of a busy day.
If you are uncomfortable with the idea of doing yoga in the full glare of the public, Kristen Keane says that will be the least of your worries.
One thing that we practice in yoga is the technique of drishti, or your gaze. So that technique of drishti is meant to keep your practice within your own body, so you're not looking around.
For those who would like to try yoga for the first time, Mulligan says it gets better.
I think if you move and stretch your body every single day, that it becomes natural. You got to use it or lose it.
Everyone, thank you.
Yoga Under the Elms is back next week from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. on College Green. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Betty Kankambuedu, live in studio.
Looks like a great time. Thanks, Betty. Now coming up, why questions about Ukraine's desire to join NATO are being raised as the organization meets in Washington, D.C., and how record high temperatures are affecting those impacted by Hurricane Beryl.
You know, it's hot. I'm sweating out here. When are those cool temperatures coming? Next on Newswatch.
Fasten your seatbelt.
This is amazing.
Wow.
Did you vote? It feels like I have a home.
These are your immigrant ancestors.
This is wild.
Never anticipated this.
I am forever changed.
I'm pleased to tell you you're going to be in finding your roots.
Are we really this close?
I can't tell you what we found, but what we found was you.
This is you on the cusp of your next chapter.
It's a passageway into something new.
It just seeps into you.
It's a groundbreaking moment.
We can make it ours.
We're coming out hot. We're starting here. It's definitely going to be a treat for their palate.
What a story.
She had the imagination of a genius.
Each time I go up there, it's the sense of newness.
3, 2, 1.
We're all running.
It's beautiful.
Cherish every moment. Continue to laugh.
We hope you'll join us.
There is no going back.
It's time for a new beginning.
For more than 70 years, WOUB Public Media has been the place where people in our region turn to learn how stories of the past ignite the imagination of the future. It's where information, entertainment, and education work together to inform, enlighten, and inspire generations. It's the place where the community gathers to hear and see our world in new and innovative ways. WOUB, the public media you trust that's worthy of your support.
Today is the first day of the NATO summit in Washington, marking 75 years of the alliance. The gathering is generating questions about Ukraine's desire to join the organization. The Biden administration promises NATO will reveal this week the steps Ukraine needs to take in order to become a member. 3 sources say a draft communique calls Ukraine's path to membership, quote, irreversible. The former U.S. Special Representative for Ukraine negotiations says he doesn't think that means Ukraine will be a member soon. Kurt Volker believes the sticking point is that NATO members pledge to defend each other in war, saying the U.S. and some other countries don't want to fight with Russia.
That if we bring them into NATO now, we have an obligation to go to war ourselves to fight to protect them.
U.S. officials say NATO has other plans to help Ukraine, including military, diplomatic, and economic support. The Department of Justice says it has squashed a Russian-led attempt to spread disinformation about the Ukraine war in the U.S. Officials there say a pair of internet domains were seized, as well as hundreds of social media accounts allegedly used by Russian operatives. A so-called bot farm had used artificial intelligence to develop these false profiles that claimed to be U.S. citizens. The Justice Department says the phony accounts would post pro-Russian comments regarding the Kremlin's war against Ukraine. DOJ investigators say the whole plan was put together by an editor of RT Russia's state-owned publication. Hunter Biden has withdrawn his request for a new gun trial. His lawyers had originally filed the motion on a technicality over an appeal they claim should have prevented a trial from starting. After reviewing the issue further, they conceded after misunderstanding the situation. Hunter, President Biden's son, is still pursuing other challenges to his felony gun convictions. He's planning to ask an appeals court to throw out his conviction. Uncertainty around President Joe Biden's re-election bid may have injected new factors for former President Donald Trump and his advisors to consider when it comes to his vice presidential pick. Our Washington correspondent Julia Benbrook has the details.
Former President Donald Trump is entering a critical stretch of his presidential campaign, preparing to hold several rallies, kick off the Republican National Convention, and select a running mate.
I haven't made final decision, but I have some ideas as to where we're going.
Trump's summer plans have been overshadowed by the dramatic fallout over President Joe Biden's lackluster debate performance last month. And with lots of uncertainty on the other side of the ticket, Trump's campaign is trying to navigate how to maximize the rollout of his vice presidential pick.
We wanted to see what they're doing, to be honest, because, you know, it might make a difference. I don't know.
Trump's search for a running mate has primarily focused on three names: Florida Senator Marco Rubio, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Though Trump once measured his potential picks by how they might stack up against Vice President Kamala Harris in a one-on-one debate, some Trump allies emphasize that those calculations would change if she's elevated to the top of the Democratic ticket.
If Biden steps down, Harris is going to have to pick somebody to help her. If she does become the nominee, this is a dramatically different race than it is right now today.
Despite calls from within the Democratic Party to step away, Biden says he is committed to staying in the race.
Trump's campaign views Monday, July 15th, the opening day of the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, as the deadline to present his vice presidential choice. With party business scheduled for the morning, the announcement could take place right before the official nomination. Reporting at the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
As Hurricane Beryl recovery efforts are underway, the region is now dealing with extreme heat. Beryl left at least 7 people dead in Texas and at least 1 dead in Louisiana. A heat advisory is in effect today for southeast Texas, where the heat index could hit 105 degrees. The high temperatures are especially dangerous as power was knocked out for millions in 3 states, as the storm brought devastating winds and flooding. Meteorologists have the record-setting triple-digit heat wave continuing from Texas up through the western U.S. until the week's end. They're also now tracking post-tropical cyclone Beryl toward the Midwest and Ohio Valley, bringing with it the threat of tornadoes and heavy rain. Isabel, will we be seeing any of this extreme weather here?
Tracking that Beryl remnants, we're having all throughout that Ohio Valley in the Midwest this large patch of rain and severe storms that is giving some of our friends over to the Cincinnati area some of that chance for that tornado warnings, those watches, any of those severe thunderstorms. That system is really kind of missing us in southeast Ohio, thankfully, but it is bringing us some of those warmer temperatures that we're seeing right now and a good amount of rain for the Midwest. Here in Athens currently, that warm up that we were talking about, that 93 degrees in Athens, I'm back inside now, it's pretty hot out there, that 93 degrees. In Parkersburg, 93, Huntington, 93, Charleston, 96. We're having in those West Virginia counties that heat advisory and that heat warning that is going until about 10 p.m. tonight. That is from just these warm temperatures bringing their way up. We're also seeing it in parts of southeast Ohio, in Jackson County, having that heat advisory currently still. And we're not too much off in Athens from those pretty high intense heat, that pretty high intense heat. So we're still warm with them. Having that high tonight, that low tonight of 72. It's still pretty warm out there for nighttime with that 50% chance of thunderstorms. There's a few pop-up showers here and there that could be impacting your nighttime plans. Once we're looking at tomorrow morning, that's whenever that lingering rain is still going to be in our area. Just a few pop-ups here and there, not as intense of of cover as we're seeing in Indiana and Illinois, that they're getting those severe watches, those severe warnings for those thunderstorms. And as we look into 24 hours ahead, that's whenever it's finally going to be making its way through, and we're going to be having the full effects of this cold front making its way over, giving us some cooling for the next couple days. Not too much colder just because we are still in July, but a little bit cooler from these next couple days until we get into this weekend. For tomorrow, that 30% chance of thunderstorms in the morning, that temperature high of 93, about 10 degrees off from today, and that low of 61. Once we get into that 36 hours ahead, still a little blips of rain here and there, good chance for some fog and some stickiness in our air, but other than that, just giving us some clouds. And then 48 hours ahead, still about the same system making its way through until we see this high pressure that is going to be giving us some days of sun before we hit some more thunderstorms for our Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. For our 7-day outlook tomorrow morning, that chance of thunderstorms. For Thursday, we're going to have those mostly sunny skies once again, that high of 84. And then Friday and Saturday, we're both back in those 90s. Once we hit Sunday with that chance of storms rolling in, we're going to be seeing those temperatures increase every day as we go on. That Monday high of 94. And then once we hit this time next week, we're going to have that high of 97 and that low of 76. We have another kind of heat wave making its way through. Not as hot as it was earlier in the month, but still pretty intense heat for these next few days. We're only going to be in the 80s for these next couple of days before we have that 5-day stretch of those 90-degree temperatures. Let's take it back over to Donovan.
Thanks, Isabel. Jury selection for Alec Baldwin's manslaughter trial began in Santa Fe, New Mexico today. The actor is facing charges over the shooting death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the set of the film Rust. A judge in New Mexico denied a pair of motions from the actor's attorney last week. His defense team claimed prosecutors mishandled evidence procedures related to the case. Baldwin's legal team says since the weapon in question was destroyed from FBI forensic testing, it is no longer possible to recreate the examination. The Federal Aviation Administration is investigating after a Boeing plane lost a wheel on takeoff. It happened yesterday. United Airlines Flight 1001 was departing from Los Angeles International Airport when the wheel fell off. The plane landed safely at Denver International while the wheel was recovered in Los Angeles. No injuries were reported, and the investigations are ongoing. The incident occurred on the same day Boeing pled guilty to a conspiracy to defraud the U.S. Boeing has also experienced a drop in sales this year, reporting it ended the first half of the year with gross sales down 70%. The aerospace giant said it sold just 14 new jets in the past month, with most of those sales being freighters. But it still marked one of its best sales of the month this year. Only 4 aircrafts were sold in May and just 7 in April. June sales were down 95% from the 304 gross orders it took last June. Airlines eager to expand their fleets are holding off on purchases while Boeing works through a number of problems. Next, despite the push for more electric vehicles on the road, why sales are dwindling. And for the latest from Newswatch, follow us on Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, and YouTube.
Firing chain is armed. When liftoff.
Damn, what a cool job. We were not special. There was thousands of people that did thousands of things. You had people's lives in your hands. You had this vehicle that was just awesome.
There's really nothing like it. Seeing it take off, it makes you proud.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
The American identity begins when Benjamin Franklin knit the American colonies together.
Franklin is endlessly interesting.
Printer, scientist, revolutionary.
He is the only founding father who evidently had a sense of humor.
His vision is broader than the American Revolution.
The things that he spoke of, that he wrote about, had a certain amount of power.
He really was an American genius.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
9 boys.
The sons of loggers, the sons of fishermen.
One shared dream.
There was speculation of whether this was an Olympic team.
For gold.
American crew appears to be in the rear.
For country.
They had to fight and claw and drag that boat.
For each other.
8 hearts beating as one.
The Boys of 36 on American Experience.
They spoil the script.
Tonight at 9 on WOUB.
Walmart is facing a class action lawsuit over allegations it engaged in deceptive pricing in its stores. A federal appeals court ruling from last week reversed a lower court ruling. In the lawsuit, an Ohio man says he purchased more than a dozen items from a Walmart store in Illinois in 2022. But the man claims the prices for some of the items rung up 10 to 15% higher than the shelf price. The lawsuit also alleges there were similar discrepancies in stores in 5 other states. A judge dismissed the case last year and ruled Walmart negated any unfairness caused by inaccurate prices by providing receipts after purchases. In March, President Joe Biden announced efforts to ramp up electric vehicle and plug-in hybrid production to cut down on car emissions. Despite the push for more environmentally friendly cars, sales are still waning. In today's Consumer Watch, Jen Sullivan looks at what's deterring drivers from buying electric vehicles.
Fewer people appear to be buying electric vehicles. That's according to a new study by AAA. They recently conducted a survey about EV sales and found only 18% of U.S. adults say they're very likely or likely to buy an EV as their next car.
That's a bit shocking.
Greg Brannon from AAA says he was really surprised by those numbers because more companies are making EVs, giving consumers more options.
We were really expecting that to be kind of a tipping point for it, and that the interest and demand would start to increase, but we've definitely seen the opposite.
According to the survey, the biggest issues for consumers are high purchase price, high cost of battery repair, lack of convenient charging stations, and not being able to install a charging station where they live. When it comes to price, electric cars vary drastically from just under $30,000 to well over $100,000, according to U.S. News & World Report.
The price is definitely a concern for people, but it's not the only concern. There's a lot of challenges around charging and concern about how people use the vehicles.
But if you do choose to buy an electric vehicle, there are tax benefits. You can get a credit of $7,500 if you purchase a new EV or plug-in hybrid, and $4,000 for a used one. Some experts in the EV industry are optimistic the lag in sales will change.
I think you're going to see new sales continue to tick back up. But right now, with interest rates and just the high cost of a new car, it's not surprising to me that people are opting for a used car at a better price point.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Alfalfa U.S. is recalling more than 2,000 pounds of frozen, ready-to-eat chicken products, according to a notice from the USDA. Routine testing found the Alfalfa halal chicken products may be contaminated with listeria. There have been no reports of illnesses, but the USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service says the recalled chicken should not be eaten. The products were produced in Canada and imported to the U.S. last month. A new study finds people taking Mounjaro injections lost more weight and were more likely to reach specific weight loss targets than those taking Ozempic. Researchers from a health data analytics company analyzed electronic health records from more than 18,000 adults. All were overweight or obese. About half had type 2 diabetes, and they took medications over about a year and a half. The study found both medications helped patients achieve weight loss, but Mounjaro was more effective. The FDA has approved higher doses of both drugs to treat weight loss, but the new study only looked at the doses to treat type 2 diabetes. Still ahead, the Columbus Zoo adds a new member to their band. But first, here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Let's start at the beginning, shall we?
I can't wait.
Back in the game, bringing the thunder, I'm making waves.
People will be watching your every move. I can handle it. Let's go.
So, what's your secret?
Things are starting to move in the right direction.
Tell us everything.
Are you ready for
going to tell me who I can or can't be.
Troubles, honey? Like you wouldn't believe. Hop in.
Every day, I see the evidence of all that love can do.
Whatever happens, we'll be together.
There's nowhere else in the world I'd rather be.
This was perfect.
We are entertainers first. That's my stage.
There were some anger issues.
You cannot be serious!
If you say sex is gold, I hope I was popular for my tennis.
She made women believe that they are equal to men.
Tennis was absolutely massive.
When the announcement was made that DACA was over, I was really pissed. If they wanted to rescind this program, they have to explain that it considered the real human stakes that are here.
Luis is the first DACA recipient to be a member of the Supreme Court bar.
This case really highlights how badly we need overall comprehensive immigration reform.
Tonight at 10 on WOUB.
Finally tonight, the Columbus Zoo is celebrating the birth of a baby western lowland gorilla. The gorilla was born during the early morning hours of Saturday, June 29th to the first-time mother Sue and father Katembe. The pair's baby is the 35th gorilla born at the Columbus Zoo. Guests can now see the zoo's new gorilla in the outdoor habitat from 11 a.m. until the zoo closes at 6 p.m. Chances to see the infant may be limited as the newly expanded gorilla family will be able to access indoor habitats, which is currently off limit for their privacy. Isabel, that's just adorable. I love seeing gorillas, monkeys. Those are my favorite animals.
You know, they're my favorite animals too, and especially anytime that there's a baby animal involved, they're always the cutest.
I know. But when will the weather be okay for me to go check out the zoo? Maybe head down there and look at them.
Well, tomorrow might be a little rainy, but other than that, we're looking pretty sunny for our weekend. Currently out there, the 93 degrees with that heat index of 96. It's feeling quite warm out there with some of that sun coming through. It has been a hot one all of today. For tomorrow, we're seeing those temperatures cool back down just a little bit at that 88. There we go. Tonight, we're going to have that temperature also cool down, but not too much. We're having a little bit of a warmer night for that 72-degree low in that 50% chance of thunderstorms. Tomorrow, like I was saying, that temperature high quite cooling down from today, that 83-degree high with that temperature low of 61 with just that slight chance, that 30% chance of thunderstorms. Looking out for our watches and warnings for currently the West Virginia border of Ohio, and there's parts of Gallia, Jackson, and Lawrence County having that heat advisory until 8 p.m. tonight. It's still pretty warm out there currently for about 7 p.m. and we're still having those pretty high temperatures. And then that tornado watch for parts of Cincinnati area, that goes until 10 p.m. tonight. For that 7-day outlook tomorrow, we're having a little bit of a cool down for the next couple of days, and then we're ranking up those temperatures once again. Once we hit this time next week, we'll be feeling like this once again this time next week.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Isabel Isco and Betty Kunkunboydu, I'm Donovan Varney. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next, and remember, you can find the latest news anytime at woub.org or follow us on social media. Have a great night.
Support comes from Goldsberry Wealth Strategies.